Hello friends, greetings of the day. Welcome to the online session of business economics. Friends, you all know that we are learning business economics and in that we have already completed chapter number 4. Now we are moving backward. That means we are starting chapter number 3. Chapter number 3 is titled as Theory of Production and Cost. Friends, the name itself suggests that in this chapter we are going to learn two different units. First unit is about theory of production and second unit is about theory of cost. Friends, this is a very much important chapter from the viewpoint of examination as well as from the viewpoint of your inter CA, because in your inter CA you are going to have a subject called cost management for 100 marks, and that subject of costing is fully dependent on these two units. Now these two units are interdependent. We must learn production excellently, only then we will be able to understand the concept of costs very well. So do remember that this is a very important chapter, and from your final examination viewpoint also around 8 to 10 questions will be from this chapter only. So let us start unit number 1, which is theory of production. Now first of all we need to understand the meaning of production. In simple terms, production is conversion of these inputs into this output. Now in order to convert the input into the output, we need to have certain process. So when inputs are processed upon, output is generated. The whole sequence is input, process and output. This whole process is considered as production. Second definition, production is also known as conversion of raw material into the finished goods. When we convert the raw material into the finished goods, it is also known as production. So for example, we have wood blocks as our raw material. From these wood blocks, we make process upon it. We cut them into the appropriate parts and we make finishing of them and then attaching them, and we prepare a wooden chair. So wooden chair will be considered as a finished good. The wood block was raw material. We made process on that wood block and then we got the chair. So this is conversion of raw material into the finished goods. This is also termed as production. Now the next definition of production is creation or addition of utility. Two things we need to remember: either we can create utility or we can add utility to something. The thing which does not have utility at all and we create some utility in it, that is called creation of utility. The creation of utility is also termed as production. Or the product which has some amount of utility and we add utility into it, then also the addition of utility is termed as production. So we can either create utility or add utility to something, that is known as production. So for example, clay is available to us. The clay does not have utility at all, but when the clay is processed upon and a pot is prepared from that clay. Now clay did not have any utility, but when pot was prepared, earthen pot is having some amount of utility. So clay did not have utility at all. Out of the clay we created some amount of utility by preparing earthen pot. So that is creation of utility. So preparing earthen pot is considered as a production. Now earthen pot has some amount of utility, But when we add utility to that by creating a proper color on it, by making it very attractive, we add utility to it, and by addition of utility also, that is considered as production. So production is termed as creation or addition of utility. Now these were the definitions of production. As I said, production is creation or addition of utility. So we must learn the various types of utility. There are basically four types of utility. The first one is form utility. Second one is place utility. Now again, place utility is divided into two types, that is extraction from earth and transfer of goods. We'll discuss them in detail later on, but here we are just listing the names. So the first one is form utility, second one is place utility, third one is a time utility, and fourth one is service utility. Now let us understand them one by one. The first one is form utility. Form utility is very much simple, changing the form of natural resources. When we have natural resources available, but these natural resources do not have any utility, by changing the format of that natural resource, we create or add utility into them. That is considered as a production. Say for example, log of wood is available. Out of this log of wood, we manufacture a table. Now this is changing the form of natural resources. This natural resources was available, but it did not have any utility. We changed the form of natural resources into this table. So table is having utility for us. Now this process is also known as production. Next one is place utility. As you know that place utility means the transferring the goods from one place to another place. When we transfer the goods from one place to another place, the place where it was not having any utility to the place where it is having utility, this transfer of goods is known as place utility. Now it is again divided into two parts. One is extraction from earth. When certain goods are extracted from earth, so for example in this picture you can see that the coal is extracted out of coal mine. Now coal is extracted from the earth. Under the earth it was not having any utility, but when it is extracted out of the earth, it is having utility. So it is changing the place of this coal. That is why it is known as place utility. The second one is transferring the goods from one place to another place. When we transfer the goods from one place to another place, say for example sand at the river bank. Now sand at the river bank is not having utility, but when it is loaded into the truck and it is sent to the construction site, at the construction site it is having utility. So the transfer of sand from the river bank to the construction site, it adds the place utility. So these two are the types of place utility. Next one is time utility. Time utility means making the goods available when they are required. Now until they are required, they are stored into the godowns. Say for example the bags of wheat are stored into the godown. Now these are stored until the need of wheat is arises. When the need arises or when the wheat are required, they will be sent to the market. Until then they are stored into the godown. So the godowns and warehouses provide time utility. Until they are needed, they are stored here. Okay, so time utility is making the good available when they are required. And next is service utility. Service utility is the utility provided by some special skill or knowledge. When we can create the utility by some special skills. Say for example the chartered accountants provide their special skills in terms of auditing and accounting and taxation. Now these special skills give satisfaction to the clients. That's why the chartered accountants are providing service utility. So service utility is the utility created by some special skills or knowledge. A lawyer having knowledge in terms of law, with this knowledge he provides satisfaction to the clients. So the lawyer also provides service utility. So these all were the types of utility. Thank you.